Welcome to the T2 Hubcast. Join Martin, Dave, Spencer and guests as they discuss all things personal and professional development. The T2 Hubcast, brought to you by the People Performance People.
So welcome to another T2 Hubcast. It's me, Martin Johnson.
Dave Pendleton.
And Spencer Locker.
Dave, you was just off the mark there a little bit. You was about 0.2 seconds too late, but we're going to carry on with it because this is live and this is how we roll, right?
Yeah, unabridged.
So welcome, chaps. It's actually episode 3 of Corporate Clangers. And this is where that sound effect's going to come in.
Yeah.
Spence, listen, for the listeners, Spencer's been playing around with it with an app that he's got, which has got like sound effects. And when we say welcome back to episode 3 of Corporate Clangers, he wants to press a button and do a bit of a wah type.
Yeah.
type
Something.
A little jingle for Corporate Clangers.
Yeah.
So listen, watch this space because if it's appropriate, we might stick it in at the next one.
Maybe.
So Corporate Clangers is back, gents. It's episode 3. Surely we're not running out of Corporate Clangers just yet.
No.
But for those of you who are first-time listeners to Corporate Clangers, it's basically room 101 for the corporate world. So we discuss certain things that absolutely push our buttons in the workplace.
Yeah.
They probably push your buttons too. We debate them and we vote whether we can them or we keep them. A little bit like room 101. So if you've listened to the first 2 episodes of Corporate Clangers, then you know exactly the drill and sit back and enjoy. So who's going to go first, gents? Who's going to put the first corporate clanger in the mix?
Go on, Martin. You know you want to.
Yeah, Dave?
Yeah, no,
are you with us?
Yeah, absolutely. For you.
Cool. Right. Okay. I'm going to go with my number 1 for this one. It's inspired by recent events. In fact, it's inspired by daily events in our office. It's whistling and humming. Whistling and humming whilst people are trying to concentrate at their workstation. And, you know, some people out there might go, Martin, you miserable sod. If people want to hum to the radio or whistle on a nice day, then what's the problem in that? Well, the problem is that with that is when you're in an open office and you've read the same line of an email 15 times, because our very own Dave, he's just sitting quietly, he's staring into the abyss. But this is aimed at Dave, right? He's absolutely one of these. He will whistle to every single song on the radio, even if he doesn't know it, he'll just whistle over it. And it drives me bonkers. I can't concentrate. I read the same. Is it my issue? Should it be office etiquette?
In a word, yes, it's your issue.
So you think?
I know. I get where.
So
you're
in an
coming
open
from.
office, you think people should be allowed to whistle and hum?
I get where you're coming. I get where you're coming from. I do get it. However, when Dave's whistling or humming, for me, it means he's quite contented and he's quite sort of in the zone. So when it happens, I don't mind it. But if it gets to the point where I do mind it, I put my headphones on and listen to a T2 podcast.
Right, so hang on a second. So I don't think he's in the zone. When he's whistling and humming, he's probably doing naff all, which means you put your headphones on and listen to something, which means then you're doing naff all.
No, I'm listening to a T2 podcast.
Don't give me that,
I just said I'm doing a
Spence.
T2 podcast.
Listen.
I tell you what, listening to some of them T2 podcasts is massively helping me in so many different ways. I highly recommend them.
Well, listen, my point is sometimes surely there's a time for, I mean, Dave's a very happy-go-lucky guy. He's calm, he's relaxed, right?
Very much the man
when I'm concentrating, I understand I'm a little bit more focused, intent. I've got my eyes on the prize and I need concentration. Maybe Dave can do his prep work and his focus stuff whilst whistling and humming. In fact, let's bring him in. He's sat there. Me and you were having a
talking
Dave,
about him like he's not in the room.
Dave, talk to us. My first corporate clanger is whistling and humming on an open floor.
I need to put a bit of context in there because, and Spence, I'm looking for you to back me up here.
Yeah.
When Martin suggests I'm whistling, it's not exactly Roger Whittaker in the background. I think it's very, very low key. I think it's usually very quiet. It's very low key, and I don't whistle all of the tunes or songs. It's just kind of a little bit of background sound. Am I right there or am I wrong?
You are right. I think you're right.
So it is very low key. So what we're talking about is one individual's inability to tune out of what everybody else is doing and tune it into what he's doing.
Yeah.
So is it me that's distracted, or is it him that's
Well,
distracted?
do you know what? I'm generally just one for noises. I'm genuine. Spencer, control yourself. I'm generally just one for noises, and I think whistling and humming is an extended version of the little noises that wind me up, like eating and chomping loud and slurping your drink, etc. But for me, I think you're right. I think when I'm not concentrating, it's absolutely fine. When I'm not concentrating, it's absolutely fine. When I'm doing something and we're busy and I've got my head in something, that's when the distraction comes. Now, you might say, Martin, go and get yourself in a corner office. Go put your desk back in the corner office and work in isolation. This is what I'm trying to throw it on the table and throw it to the listeners out there. And anybody who listens to this hubcast, drop us a message on social media. Is whistling and humming on an open floor while people are working distracting or not? It might be me, Dave. I'm open to be wrong. So, should we go for a vote? I think I'm going to get outvoted here, aren't I? I'm obviously going to can it. Dave?
I'm keeping it.
He's keeping it.
I'm keeping it for the mere fact that if it does bother me, and I've got to say that sometimes it does interfere with my thought process, but I'll proactively put headphones on or remove myself from the situation. But that's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
But putting your headphones on doesn't then put you back into focus because you've been distracted by something you're listening to through your ears. So it doesn't. But
I'm choosing what I'm listening to through my ears
rather than
that complements what I'm actually doing.
Rather
so
than
if I'm writing pathways or something like that, I might be writing pathways and Roger Whittaker.
So basically,
Roger Whittaker pipes up.
So basically, you're choosing what you're listening to rather than Dave's rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody on whistle with the radio playing in the background.
He could have been a professional whistler.
I tell you what. All right, so listen, we'll leave it there. We're keeping it. I'm guessing we're keeping it. But do you know what? For the first time, I want to extend this vote out to the listeners. I want you to contact us on social.
That's right. Pick on me. Yeah. For the first time ever, let's
desperately wanting some support there.
The vote on getting rid of Roger Whittaker from the office.
Listen, when I don't get my own way, we'll go. It's like Brexit. We'll go into a second vote just to see if I'm in isolation here on whistling and humming in the office. Right, Spence, you're up next.
Right. I'd like to propose angry people. And not necessarily angry people, but people who are angry for the sake of being angry. People who proactively search out things to be angry about. Yeah. Now, I know as from the work that we do with so many different organisations and companies, when we're doing our Human Iceberg Days, we're starting to look at different personality profiles, preferences, likes, dislikes, triggers, all this and the other. And I get that we're all different. And I get that some things annoy some people at some stage, and you'll possibly sit there going, well, what are they getting angry about? I don't feel that way. But there's sometimes that you get angry and people look at you going, why does that affect you? I get that. But what I'm seeing at the moment, especially when we start talking about things like...
Don't say it.
Social media.
No.
No, I wasn't going to say that.
No.
Things like social media, be it LinkedIn or Twitter, or particularly Twitter, actually. I did mention it when I did my talk with Business Culture Hull not so long back. People say things in reply on Twitter like they will never actually say it to somebody's face.
Yeah.
It's nasty, it's disrespectful, it's spiteful, but it's like people just get on there for the sake of being angry about something. One of the things let me start this story. I was in a toilet in Shropshire, having a wee, as you do.
Not this story, Spencer. It's not.
But sometimes you're looking when you're in the toilet, you're looking straight forward, and there's these little pictures and things, little sort of inspirational quotes, and there was a picture on the back of this above this urinal saying, "The pathway to contentment. Rule 1: find something to be happy about." And I thought, well, yeah, I get that. You know what? You can be proactive and find something to cheer yourself up. But it seems to be that people are actually going out of the way to find things to be angry about.
Yeah, if we're talking about social media in particularly on this, I really, really don't like trolls. People who go and comment on people's posts just to challenge them or make them look silly or to disagree with them or whatever. I'm all for healthy debate. I'm all for if people are genuinely curious or inquisitive about what somebody has said or posted. But I think the tonality of it and the line is crossed when you're doing it to be an ass.
Yeah.
When you're doing it on purpose to catch people out or to be an ass. And I always say this to Dave, right? You know, I know Dave gets frustrated with some of the, you know, the absolute rubbish that gets posted on social media, right? I know that. But as a consultancy and as people in T2, we're not here to shoot holes in other people's philosophies.
No.
We're not here to pull people to pieces.
No.
And everybody's got, you know, their right to put it on.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you, Spence. I think some people get caught up in wanting to shoot holes in people and they're looking for it.
Yeah.
And therefore that's why social media can become an incredible platform for content sharing and for knowledge and for networking and interaction and engagement. But it can also become a really harsh place where people become afraid to post anything. Right.
Well, yeah.
You know, and I agree with you on this. I know this is a bit serious for corporate clangers.
Yeah.
But it probably needs to go into the mix.
Yeah.
Because I can honestly say, hand on heart, since the day I've entered into this arena and started in this industry and started T2, I have never belittled, shot a hole, you know, in or anything anybody has ever said on social media.
Yeah.
I have to, you know, I've got nothing but admiration for anybody who's got an idea or a view on something, you know.
I'd like to introduce the word binary at this stage.
Well, it's one of your favourite words.
It is one of my favourite words because people seem to think that if you disagree with them in any way, shape or form, then you are against them in every single way. And therefore it becomes a defensive, offensive thing.
But
and if you like something, then they think that you're fully behind them. And it's binary when in actual fact it's a spectrum.
Well,
and this is when we start talking about healthy debate.
Yeah, well, you know, I think the tone of what you put and the words you use are important because the intonation's taken out of it. So if you might have a genuine question on social media. In fact, you know, I'll use Dave as an example. Dave sometimes asked a question on people's statuses on social media. And I read that question as if Dave's disagreeing with them because of the words and the tone of the message. Dave's probably sat there reading the post interesting going, ooh, that's interesting. Let me ask a question. But to the person putting that, they go, "Oh, somebody's challenging me," which is, and then you wonder why yours is the only comment they have not responded on.
Yeah.
So I think we've got to understand that, you know, each to their own. Because the people who want to shoot holes at people say, "Martin, it's a free world. Why am I not allowed to challenge people? If they're going to put their ideas out there, I should be allowed to challenge." My personal view is in line with yours. I think we're moving across to trolling people rather than engaging with people on social media. And I think it just doesn't sit right with me. I'll have a conversation with somebody outside of the public forum of social media until the cows come home, but I'm not here to shoot holes in people publicly.
Just before Dave comes in on this, I've got to clarify that I've read a lot of what Dave's put. Again, we're talking about him as if he's not in the room. But I like the fact that he challenges because for me, my perspective on the challenging questions that Dave asks is, you know what, this person set themselves up, they've made a statement, Dave's clarifying. Have they got the depth of knowledge? Have they actually got the experience to be able to answer this without taking it personally, without being offended? Can you tell me more about this? And I think that's something that Dave does really, really well. Because I sit there thinking, yeah, I'd like to ask that.
Dave.
Well, I'm in the room. So hi. Hello. Welcome back. I think you're talking about two different things. And I think, unfortunately, we're in danger of crossing over. I think what you're talking about, Spence, is people that are perceived as trolls. So they're being aggressive, purposefully attacking people because they themselves are angry. I think what you're talking about, Martin, is the perception that a challenge can have. Now, I think I am challenging, as you rightly point out, as you both point out. But Martin perceives it one way and Spence perceives it another. And I'm not angry. I'm never angry, very rarely angry. And I challenge, particularly when people are self-confessed evangelists in something. So I want to know, do you really know what you say you know, as you rightly point out, Spence? And I think I do it in a relatively straightforward way, but I guess it's about perception, which is what you're talking about, Martin.
Well, no, I mean
the ability to perceive it as aggressive, or do you perceive it as being challenging?
Well, without going into too much debate of this on Corporate Clangers, because I think it's probably a separate podcast, which we could maybe spin off and do.
All right.
But the reality to me is some of these people we don't know, we don't engage with, we don't have any form of partnership with or anything like that.
Yeah.
Why waste your time and effort seeing if they know what they're on about? It's not in the world of T2 and what we're doing and who we're focused on. It's got no bearing on what we are doing. So therefore it's just wasted energy getting into a debate with somebody that you're trying to verify if they know. For example, you could put something on and someone could go, well, what makes you
happy to
answer? Have that. What I'm saying is, when we're not, and again, we'll talk, I was going to say we'll talk about it offline. That was last week's Corporate Clanger. For me, at T2 and everything we stand for is we're going to go out there and we're going to deliver what we deliver to the world. We're going to speak passionately and openly about our views. Some people agree, some people disagree, right? But I don't believe we're in the game of tripping other people up or questioning other people's credibility in this field. And certainly from my position at T2, that's not what we're about. So I agree with you, Spence, coming back to the initial point. I think there's a balance, and I think there is a lot of people purposely looking on social media to trip others up. There's a lot of negativity at times. The world's full of opinions. Everybody's got one, right? There's a famous saying around that. And I think I'm not saying we shouldn't have an opinion on stuff, and I'm not saying we shouldn't be strong and we shouldn't challenge and we shouldn't debate. Bloody hell, we make a living out of it, right? Yeah. We go into organizations and we do this, but we go into organizations with the trust and rapport with that client and confidentiality, and we do it in the right forum. Yeah. I don't believe doing it on social media at times when we have nothing to do with or we don't know those people is the right thing to do. That's just my view. So for a corporate clanger, in terms of aggression or negativity, or anger on social media, I'm going to go can it.
Yeah.
Dave?
I agree, but I don't agree with not challenging. So I agree with Spence, let's can aggression.
But we're not saying challenging. Everybody's agreeing it's okay to challenge, but we're on about...
So I can it.
Oh, brilliant. And I can it as well. So
is that the first one you've ever got in, Spence?
Yeah. The quality of my submissions has obviously risen.
Well, listen, before we came into the room, Spencer sort of went out in a huff and said, well, there's no point in me taking part because none of my ideas ever go in Corporate Clangers. So anyway, there's a victory for you there, Spence.
Woohoo.
Right. So we've got, we've had whistling and humming, which was saved. We've had aggressive trolling type behaviour.
Yeah.
Canned. Dave, over to you. Dave?
Sorry, I'm just trying to read what I wrote and I can't actually read it.
Do you want me to read it for you?
Yes, please.
You wrote conference calls.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, of course. Conference calls. Yeah. Poor technology, low tech conference calls. So we send out invitations and either people can't dial in, or when we dial in, they can't hear you, or some can hear you, some can see you, and others can't. People attend, some people don't attend.
Yeah.
I think that in today's modern tech society, we should just be able to press a button and hey, presto, everybody joins and everybody can see and hear exactly what we're talking about.
I agree. I mean, it frustrates me sometimes when it's like when you actually go into the supermarket and use a barcode for convenience and it doesn't scan and it doesn't scan and it doesn't scan. So you think, right, well, I shall now enter the handy 15-digit code and it just takes, rather than just typing in the price. Yeah, when you're trying to log in and things and you've got this 15-digit XYGQ and then a couple of little signs. And
well, it's like when you've been logging in automatically on your PC to your system for the last, year, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, it resets and it asks you to put in your password that you can't even remember what you set up, and it's like the world's ended. Yeah. But I actually agree with Dave on this one. Conference call, some are better than others, But in the main, we are still living in an age where someone sends you a conference call. Let's be honest. It's in our diary. We are prepped for it, but we all go, oh shit, with 5 minutes to go. I'm on a conference call in a few minutes.
Yeah.
You quickly search your calendar and you're trying to read through a million different international dial codes just to get to the UK one. Yeah. Then you're trying to search in between all of the message for the actual dialing, access code, which, like you say, Spence, is probably about 16 digits long, followed by a hashtag. And then some of them, you even get past that and you've got an extra audio code or a PIN code to access your specific call. And it's like frantically trying to get on this call with a minute to spare because it's for me, it's too complex. Now, that's when you're in the office. What about when you're on a train or in a car or traveling? And you're looking on a small iPhone screen, scrolling down, trying to find your access code and your PIN code. Then you've got to come out of that to dial it. So you've got to memorize the PIN.
15 digits and a hashtag.
15 digits and a hashtag. And it's just a nightmare. Surely there is, I mean, they are out there now and I've seen them, but it just needs to go in your calendar and there's a single button, join call. Yeah. And whatever the encryption in the background that's already been, from a security perspective, that needs to be done via the automation. You just press the button and it's dialing and I'm in. Yeah. So I'm with you, Dave. It's so frustrating. And I think I still access conference calls and we use WebEx, don't we, Dave, for we do, web demos to log people onto our screens. It's still the same format on WebEx as it was 15 years ago. Nothing's evolved or changed in terms of the way you access it. Yeah. And I just think it's got to be easy because there's many a times I've been caught out on the road with a 16-digit number and a hashtag and I'm late for the call. You know? Yeah. I've even been, I know this, God forbid, I've even had to pull over from the motorway and write down a 16-digit code on a piece of paper that I found in my glove compartment to dial in, then to get back on the road. It's just a nightmare. So I'm definitely canning it.
I'd agree.
And traveling is for traveling. So while you're traveling, don't do conference calls.
Yeah. Although, Dave, if it was easy to access, I'm all right in the car because the car's dead time. So the only problem with being on a conference call in the car, to back Dave up, is you can't take any notes.
No, the mobile phone signal is just not reliable enough.
Yeah, mobile phone signal can conk out on
cars, on motorways, on trains, wherever you are. It's just not reliable
enough. And if it isn't important,
you drop in and out, and you have to redial back in. And you've missed some. So for me, traveling's for travelling. It's from getting from A to B.
It's a good point. We're all busy, and sometimes you have to take it. But I do like to take notes on a conference call, and you can't do that when you're driving. So you're relying on having a call for, let's say, an hour, and then memorising the output of that call.
Plus, it's far too easy for people just to put it on mute.
Yeah.
So they're still present on the call, but they're absolutely not listening.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're all in agreement on this one. I'm canning it.
Yeah.
Can we please just have anybody out there who runs software or technology companies who, provides teleconference call facilities or video just give us a button. One button, click, and I'm in. That's what we would like. Nice.
For free as well.
For free, yeah. For free would be really nice. Awesome. So that goes in. Right. Coming back round to me, I'm going to go with another one here. I think this might be the last one for this Corporate Clangers. It's more of a facilities one, really. And it's more of it's not just in the workplace, it's in life, really, but it's hand dryers. It's hand dryers. And in most workplace toilets, there are hand dryers now. They've replaced the old tried and tested method of hand towels, which believe me, right, I know it's not good for the environment. I know that. So I'm not saying it's green, and I don't want a load of people contacting us saying, come on, Martin, think of the environment. I know we have to do it, but you can't beat an old paper towel to dry your hands on, can you? No. There's only one thing better than paper towels to dry your hands on, and that's your jeans.
So why don't we leave strips of denim on the toilet wall then? Yeah, just that feels so reassuring. I mean, we went to that thing with the that hotel. Remember that hotel last week where me, you, and Katie went? I went to the toilet there. Yeah, whatever. But the thing is, washing my hands afterwards, went to the dryer. There was a queue for the dryer. Got to the dryer, put my hand underneath it. It was like a sparrow breathing on me for 10 seconds. What was the point? Yeah, on me legs.
Well, some
instead.
people still have the old school hand dryers. Now let's throw Dysons into the mix. Since Dysons have come online, they're obviously better, more powerful. But do you know my experience with a Dyson? You put your hands under it; it's that powerful. It just blows the water up your wrists.
Yeah.
So you end up with dry hands and wet forearms. That's my experience of a Dyson.
Yeah, those air blade things, the ones with the silver boxes that we've got here that were positioned wrongly. When they first brought them in, they put them too far up the wall, didn't they? So for you, it would have been blowing up your arms. For me, I had to reach up to it. Reaching up to a hand dryer.
So Dysons are better, aren't they, Dave?
Yeah, much better.
But would it, let me ask you this: whenever you've been to a toilet and there's a Dyson airblade there and there's paper towels on the left, which do you go for?
I go for the Dyson.
Do you?
I do. I think it's about your techers.
Yeah.
If you're ending up with wet forearms, you've got your techers wrong. Surely it's about angle of entry.
I didn't know there wasn't. I didn't know there wasn't. I didn't know there wasn't technique when it came to drying your hands, but clearly it's user error.
As Spencer rightly points out, the ones that we've got in our facilities, I mean, even though they've been relocated, they're still too high. They are too high, which means that you have to adopt this odd techers, which you wouldn't normally do in a thoroughly thought out facility.
And even when you've had your hands under the Dyson for a prolonged amount of time, don't lie to me. When you leave the toilets, you still have a little wipe on your trousers.
Yeah, because your finger ends are still wet.
So my point being,
long.
I have never put my hands under a hand dryer where they have been completely dry. I still end up going like this anyway on my trousers, which means it's pointless, right? I might as well do that anyway.
Well, I would. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Martin. But knowing you as I do, and I've never observed you actually sorting yourself out after you've been to the toilet, when you're supposed to start off and draw your hands underneath the air blade over 10 seconds.
Angle of entry.
And the correct angle of entry.
Techers.
I could see you doing it for 3 and getting bored.
Yeah, no, do you know what? You are right. I get bored very easily. Or someone stood behind you waiting, so you feel like you're under pressure.
Yeah, they can wipe their hands on your jeans.
Absolutely. And the other reason I don't like hand dryers is because sometimes it's always guaranteed. You semi-dry your hands on the hand dryer. You're drying them on your trousers as you leave the door, and someone is always outside who you're seeing, and puts their hand out to shake your hand.
Yeah,
and you've got soggy hands.
Yeah,
and you sort of want to shake their hand, but you want to go, "I've just washed my hands, mate," which is even worse, right?
Yeah.
So the good old paper towel, you dry your hands, you dry the backs, the fronts, in between your fingers, you're done.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm going to say is I know it's not sustainable from the environment perspective. So we've got to go forward. But is there ever going to be a hand dryer that does the job? That's my question.
Well, I'm sure the techs have got it. But when we start talk about sustainability in the environment, what about recycled paper?
Yeah, could be.
Rather than, I mean, at the end of the day,
I think that's probably been done already.
It probably has.
I'm sure it has.
Yeah.
Do you know what the bugbears of mine in terms of hand towels?
Go on.
You've done what you need to do. You've washed your hands.
Yeah.
You go to the dispenser. It's empty, but there is a big wad of paper towels in the bin.
Yeah.
That have not been used because the last person pulled too many out.
Yeah.
And just too many were the last few.
Yeah.
And I'm not reaching into a bin of used, mucky, wet hand towels.
No, that's
so
true.
you walk out the toilet with completely wet hands as opposed to just damp finger ends.
Just shaking, flicking your hands as you walk down the corridor. Yeah,
and then that person who you meet who loiters outside the toilet waiting for you, you have to shake with wet hands.
Yeah. And this is all new to me being XRF, because usually there's a gentleman in the toilet with hot towels and mints and a little bit of aftershave.
Well, that's life in the RAF, right?
It certainly is, yeah.
Does he do anything with your hands?
He passes you a warm towel, and you can dry it, and then you give it to him, and he'll dispose of it.
Right. So, hand dryers do my head in. I've never found one yet that dries my hands. So do you know what? The more we've talked about it, I don't know what the alternative is, because we can't go back to the old-fashioned towels from an environment perspective. You can't have nothing. So I think I'm going to keep it. But listen, Mr. Dyson, please keep working hard. I think there's got to be some type of 360 device where you put your hands in, it hits you from all angles, you pull your hands out, and they're completely dry.
And I think they'll do one of those for you, Martin, but it's going to actually have to grip you by the wrists and hold you in for the full 10 seconds.
I'm going to have to go elbow deep to be fully satisfied. So I'm going to keep... I'm going to keep it. Dave.
Keep.
Spence.
Yeah, keep.
Hand dryers, you frustrate the life out of me, but you stay in by the skin of your teeth. Right, listen, guys, we've got 30 seconds left. That concludes episode 3 of Corporate Clangers. Thank you as always. Some good debate in there. And maybe we'll return for that social media trolling conversation in another T2 Hubcast because it's interesting.
I want to talk about Roger Whittaker going elbow deep now.
Now I'm going to listen to Dave whistle the bloody radio all afternoon. Right. Thanks, Spence. Thanks,
Cheers.
Dave. And we'll be back shortly with another T2 Hubcast.